So
What
we're,
time?
we,
Or you're
we
already
did the
here.
same, and she's stone cold. So Kelly would say, when we're doing each other, boring.
It is.
Eddie, what time do you have, sir?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. Okay, time to start. I call this meeting to order at this time. Let's stand for the invocation, which will be the Lord's Prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, and glory forever. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call.
Commissioner Hughes is absent due to post-surgery. Commissioner Mosier,
Here.
Commissioner Richardson,
Here.
Commissioner Jinks, here. Commissioner Stutz.
Here.
Okay. The reporter has a report on our distributions for August. Jessica? Oh, I'm sorry. Back up. Everybody had a chance to look at the meeting minutes that was in the packet. Did I hear a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, likewise. Okay, now distributions.
General fund, first page, we had some Let's Bounce Rentals, which is affiliated with National Night Out, paid for by private donations, $4,092. TCRS contribution, that's the employee and the employer portions for the month. That's $35,035.44 for retirement. Also health insurance, that's the employee and the employer portions on that. To Cigna, $65,574.79. On page 2, mailing out the property taxes, $1,600 to county record services. And then we also did the flock safety cameras, that's $21,000. Hawassi Glass, we paid $55,750. That's part of the Main Street grant and it's reimbursable. Public entity partners, several of our policies came up. We did pay the premiums in full for the year, and this was work comp, general liability, and property, $292,873.80. Moving to page 4, $5,000 to Sweetwater High School. That's part of the annual budgeted amount that we donate to the school. You'll also see several entries at the bottom of this page. These were done in August that they're changes in money where we were moving it to our investment account from the Capstar account as it got transferred over to Old National. So when the bank was bought out, the type of account we had, the settings changed when they bought it out, and all of a sudden we started noticing money being transferred to our general fund checking account out of our investment account, which have significantly different interest rates. So we had to approach Old National with that, and they did credit us back the interest we would have missed out on during those transfers that were not authorized. There is no money that is missing, plus we did earn the interest that we would have had during that time, but there were a lot of transactions that you'll see through here where they would send it back to our checking account and then we'd have to send it back out to the investment account. And thank you, Sonia, for the hours that you put into reconciling that to get us back to the right number. Towards the bottom of page 5 in the general fund, $5,000 Thompson Backhoe Service. That was for a demolition ordered by Codes Enforcement. Page 6, you'll see those Cigna rebates that you all voted on, $1,000 to each of the employees, and then a little bit more than that for the ones that paid premium themselves. And that continues on to page 8. At the bottom of page 8, you'll see several more transfers as we reconciled the account at the end of the month to make sure that we were getting everything where it was supposed to be, where it was earning the most amount of interest. State Street Aid, we had $10,200 paid to Cannon and Cannon. That's on the STP project, Hawkins and Linwood Roads repaving, which we should be to the point where they're getting ready to let us bid it out. So hopefully that will happen in this fiscal year. Rogers Group, $13,839.12. They've been doing some patching and paving projects. So that was asphalt to Rogers Group. Nothing significant in drug fund. Nothing significant in tourism fund. The library report is in there, and Tanya's here if anybody has any questions on the library report. Nothing significant in LEA. And then our garbage account, annual monthly garbage amount to Waste Connections for that contract for residential pickup is $25,641.08. You will notice a check to KP Graphics. That was the sign company where we added signage to the gates explaining that it was no longer allowed to dump publicly at those where the gates were put up. That was $240. Any questions?
Nope.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve?
Make a motion for approval.
I second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise, motion does carry. No one is registered for the public comment period. In old business, we will postpone the vote on the tree board appointment until we have a recommendation from the board. We will also postpone discussing the HyperReach contract until they have sent a new draft. In new business, we opened bids on the fire hoses last month at the last meeting. Is there a motion to accept the bid on the fire hoses?
Move to accept the bid from Tennessee Fire Equipment.
Second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any more discussion? If not, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise, motion does carry. The resolution for the matching funds for the community center grant is on the agenda for action. I'll ask Jessica to review this since it's been added since our workshop. Jessica?
I did put this in an email to you all, but just in case, we didn't get to talk about this in the workshop because I didn't actually get a notification on this until after the workshop. The state closed out these grants in August. We had already submitted an application. We'd already passed a resolution to say we were going to apply for this grant. And this would provide some construction dollars, but more amenities and furniture through a Connected Communities grant, which is issued from federal broadband monies. That community center would be a place that could host people and provide free Wi-Fi. So the grant application was for around $750,000. Part of it would be that we'd have an area that could have closed doors where someone could have a telehealth visit on the Wi-Fi, talk to their doctor. So things like tables, chairs, Wi-Fi equipment, sound equipment, things like that. Stuff we'll eventually have to buy for the community center anyway, funded by this grant. I believe it's only a 10% match because of our rating. And they told us we didn't get the grant in August. Then they reopened the grant again and said they had additional funding left that they needed to spend. This grant does expire in December of 2026. So we still have, if we get it, if we reapply and get it, we would still have 2 years to complete it. But it would definitely need to be stuff that we apply in the first phase of the community center. So assuming we still want to apply for it, they required that I send another resolution showing that we're committing the 10% matching funds on the grant. So if we can spend $750,000 that we're going to have to probably spend anyway and only have to pay 10% of that, I think it's a pretty good deal. So I would recommend passing the resolution so that we can apply for that grant or resubmit that same application.
Okay.
Move adoption of the resolution.
Second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise, motion does carry. Last month, we voted to approve Main Street Studios as the consultant on the LPRF grant for the pool house. Tonight, we have contract that is within the grant's budget. I'd like to have a motion of approval.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion, any questions?
Before we vote, just want to note, because of our work on this grant, I'll be recusing myself from the vote.
Okay. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise, motion does carry. Commissioner Richardson has a vacancy to fill. Do you have a motion?
I do. I'd like to promote from our part-time pool to full-time vacancy that came due to a resignation, Zach Perry. Put that in form of motion.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion? Is he a former volunteer or a part-time?
Part-time.
Part-time. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise, motion does carry. Our garbage contract comes up for the first term in March. Jessica is going to review some information so that we'll know what we're getting. Jessica?
So, March of 2025 will be the end of the first term on the existing contract with WCI. So the way that contract works is there's a 10-year term and then there's 2 automatic renewal terms of 5 years each. If we don't want it to automatically renew, we have to give them notice 180 days in advance, which is this month. When I pulled the contract and realized we were getting real close to that 180 days, I asked John Cleveland to kind of step in and make sure I was interpreting it correctly. One of the notices that they're required to send us as part of the contract, they hadn't sent, so they have now sent that to us and started that time frame. So basically, we have kind of to the end of the month if we decide we want to give them a notice and tell them we're not going to renew with them. After talking to some of the other area cities, I'm going to have a joint meeting with Bon Orm, possibly Tellico, and Madisonville later on this month because we all are having the same issues. The pro is we stay with WCI, we get to keep the same rate. I am certain if we didn't stay with WCI, they would not offer that same rate again. I'm sure it would be higher. They do get to adjust it every year based on the CPI index for whatever that is in December. So they get to in April adjust it. I think it's a maximum of 4% a year. Last year it was right under 3%, I think. So they don't always max that out. But the original contract was for like $9 and something a month. Now it's 10 something, right at $11 a month. A couple of things I wanted to point out. I did go ahead and send a bid advertisement to the newspaper to take bids on the garbage contract. Because if I'd waited until this meeting, we wouldn't have had enough time to take bids. So I went ahead and published that so that we can legitimately take bids on this. I have some specs drafted, and you all can look through those if you'd like. Our biggest concern with WCI is for the past couple of years, our call volume at City Hall has probably, I would say, tripled based on people having missed garbage, or sometimes it's that they had something sitting behind a fence and they wouldn't walk around the side of the fence to get the like stuff that's never been a problem before has suddenly been a problem. John Cleveland communicated with WCI, and they responded back an email explaining that they do have a new person in management there that started, Sonia, when did he come by? Maybe end of August, maybe? He may have been there for maybe a month and a half now. And I do think the call volume, like, people aren't calling as much in the last 6 weeks. So I do think this new person is doing a good job so far. I'm sure there's a lot of turnover no matter which garbage contractor you go with. I also don't know that anybody else really has the capacity to do the full city contract. But we did talk to a couple of other people have dropped their cards off, asked to have an opportunity to bid on it. I do think we'll get a couple other bids on it. So we probably need to do a called meeting at the end of October to review the bids and make a decision about whether we want to give WCI notice. If we give WCI notice, we're telling them we're not going to renew this contract. Now, we could then decide in March to still go back with them, but I'm sure they would not offer us the same price. So it's a risk to move away from WCI to someone else. I think that we could get someone else, from what they're saying, I do think they will probably meet WCI's price. So I think we could go with someone else and have the same price, but it'll be untested. We won't have used them before. I do think there are a couple other neighboring cities that are probably going to go with a different contractor because they're having the same issues. But anyway, that's something we're going to have to talk about in the October workshop. And I wish we had more time on this, but I am glad that I happened to notice the 180-day notice on it, because honestly, I've not looked at this contract other than to check prices and things like that in a lot of years. So I apologize that you guys don't have more time to think about this, but we will, we are taking bids. We'll probably get at least one other alternate bid. Our other option is we stay with WCI. So, maybe over the next couple of weeks, y'all can kind of fill people out and see, and just from your own experience as being a garbage customer, if you think it's satisfactory, this is the right time for us to use our leverage and say to them, hey, this is what our problems are. We need you to fix them. But also, I do think if we don't renew the contract, they will not offer the same price again. Whatever they came up with new would be. And then we would have another chance in 5 years. So if those other people do go with the new contractor, we can kind of watch them for the next 5 years and see how they handle it and if they are big enough to do. And one of the issues with garbage in Sweetwater is you can't just get 2 big trucks and run the route in 2 days. It takes 4 days to pick it up because you have one small truck that runs the narrow roads, and then you have a larger truck that runs the big roads. So it's not just a matter of volume and timing. It pretty much takes any contractor 4 days to pick it up, maybe more depending on how big or small they are. So we need them to be able to get it every week, and that one extra day, even if it took a smaller contractor 5 days instead of 4 days, that would be okay. And I have put that in the bid specs that they have to tell us if they can fit the whole route in within a 5-day week. I think anybody else is probably gonna have to buy equipment and hire employees in order to be able to do Sweetwater's route. So that makes me a little concerned because everybody knows hiring's not the easiest thing to do right now, and buying equipment's not the easiest thing to do right now, so.
Well, you know, in the last 15 years, this has come up before when Buster was over it, and we talked and we tried other people and tried to get proposals on other people, and when it came right down to it, the bottom line was nobody could do what WCI. It was just too expensive, and they just couldn't without a big increase. So we'll leave it for there right now and see what happens. Is that good enough?
WCI owns the landfill where it goes to.
That's right. That's exactly right. Okay.
Are we gonna put this on our workshop?
It'll have to be a called meeting too, because I'll have to, I did put in the bid specs that a committee would open the bids and kind of review it, just so John Cleveland would at least have a chance to look at the contract and compare it to what we have now, the bid specs, and then we can make a recommendation if you want. I don't know if you want to actually appoint a committee to look through that stuff beforehand and bring a recommendation back to the board, or if you all want to serve as the committee and we just bring it all out to the whole board. But we will have to do a called meeting for October.
Okay, as a whole.
Okay, so what we'll plan on doing is, do you want us to go ahead and open them we've advertised that we can, but that doesn't mean we have to. We can wait and open them that day in the workshop. It's just that way you all have no information ahead of time.
If you can open them and then send them out for review before the meeting, is that a possibility?
It gives us an opportunity to follow up with them and ask any questions that either they didn't answer or we didn't have. Like, I've asked them to provide an equipment listing. I've asked them to provide a certificate of insurance. If they didn't have some of that stuff, we could follow up with that stuff ahead of time, but.
If that's possible, I mean, give us time to review at least before the meeting,
Okay.
if possible.
And I'll email all that out to y'all before the meeting then.
Okay. Everybody clear on that? Did you answer Jim's question? Don't have to be
Yes,
on
you
the
did.
workshop. Okay. All right. In other business, Rex Ball has withdrew his proposal from to the city, so that is off the table. Last we discussed appointing a commissioner from the board to sit in on the school board, since there's some things coming up that we need to have somebody to represent us. With the board's approval and backing, I'd like to appoint Jim Stutz for that. Is there any objection?
They meet second Monday, is that correct?
Pardon?
Did John say they met second Monday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Will you accept that?
Yeah, I'll fill in for Commissioner Hughes till he's able to
Okay.
go back.
I'd like to have a vote on this, please, so that, do I hear a motion to appoint Jim to the school board? Pro temp, I guess, would be until Lamar comes
Or
back,
interim
if he
or
comes
something.
back. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion for approval if Jim's okay with that.
Yes, I'd be fine.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
We do need,
Do you have an update on?
no,
Just,
not unless you want to.
I did
no.
I did talk to him today, and he's having lots of doctor visits and follow-ups and things. But I think today he sounded much stronger than the last couple of times I talked to him. So I think he's hopeful that he's kind of on the right path to recovery, and he mentioned maybe hoping to see us all again in a couple of months. So
Cool.
Great. Is there anything else we can do as a whole for him?
I offered. So far, he hasn't let me do anything, so.
We gotta figure something out
I
for
know,
him.
I know.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, that's it. Anything else come before the board?
I did have one thing that I wanted to ask, I thought of the other day. How's the tracking of the market at the meal alcohol sales thing going?
I don't think they have begun serving yet.
Okay.
They have signs out.
That's why I noticed their signs and stuff, and I thought, well, we need to keep up with that. So.
Beer truck stopped.
Yes, we can request reports, but when we get the distributor's report, it doesn't break it down by location. So like, we wouldn't be able to tell which store is selling what. It just tells us this beer company sold X amount of Budweiser or whatever. So it's whole for the whole city, not by location. Liquor stores we get per location reports on, but beer sales are not like that, so.
Okay, anything else? If not, we're adjourned. Thank you.